Thank you for watching, liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing right now.
Thank you for joining us live on a Friday afternoon. No, this video's not in HD because, unfortunately, YouTube doesn't allow me to do that. They kind of did for a little while, then it got kind of buggy when I was doing a live unboxing of a Lenovo Yoga and decided to roll back to the previous version of the YouTube broadcaster, which only allows me to stream in 360p. Either way, thanks again for showing up, for paying attention, and for being who you are, and of course remembering to like and share our videos. I'm going to have to keep refreshing the page to make sure everything is streaming just fine, and you guys are able to ask questions. And this is really open to you. I'm giving this time to you in the middle of the Friday evening for some, afternoon, and early morning for others, depending on where you live on this planet. Cub Stub asks, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you say Vlogger Fair went? I would say that is a firm 11. It was undoubtedly beyond any of my hopes and expectations. Most, if not all, of the feedback. I think maybe one or two people had very constructive feedback to say or to give us, but I would say most had nothing but positive things to say about Vlogger Fair. Our engagement on social was also quite stellar. 30 million some odd impressions, which is rather amazing. So we're going to be able to use that to be able to do more Vlogger Fairs, not just in Seattle, but yes, potentially elsewhere around the world. Certainly, well, there's a potential of doing it in North America somewhere else. But also, another reason why I was happy to go over to London as part of the Ungrounded Thinking project, or ungroundedthinking.com that is, was to be able to talk to some people over in the UK about possibly bringing Vlogger Fair there, and I would have no problem in doing that. And Hopeify asks, do you think the Chromebook Pixel will survive? It could survive, but, you know, it's kind of overpriced. And in fact, I believe it was just yesterday, the LA school district purchased iPads instead of going with Chromebooks. And I don't disagree with that decision. I think the iPad is an outstanding computer. I don't have a problem with my Chromebook. I mean, it was very affordable, but it was limited in the sense that it's pretty much just a web browser. I mean, there are apps being developed for Chrome OS, certainly, in the Google Chrome web browser. But, you know, the Chromebook Pixel is not a classic Chromebook in the sense that it's almost just the opposite. It's very expensive, high-quality piece of equipment, but again, Chrome OS at this point is just a web browser. It's got a nice touchscreen experience, and Chrome OS is kind of optimized for touch. But I'm, you know, one of those who's gone on record saying that, you know, when you take an experience that was optimized for a keyboard and some kind of a touchpad or a trackpad or pointing device like a mouse, you know, we'd have a cursor, mixing touch with that on a touchscreen, it just gets a little wonky. And, you know, I'm not saying that if you have a Chromebook Pixel, you made a mistake. I think if you like it, hey, you like it. But I don't know if I'd be willing to spend over $1,000 on a web browser. Be quite honestly, I didn't even buy Netscape for $50 when they were selling it back in the... Did you realize web browsers, well, at least some of them, used to cost money? You could buy, even though you could download it online for free, you could buy... Did you know that, hon?
No.
See, I'm talking to my wife. She's on the other side of the... Honey, show them your hand. Okay, so you know she's real. She's right there. No, that was actually a paper cutout that I had someone just insert. Okay, thank you. You laughed. That's good to know. So I think the Chromebook Pixel is great for certain power users, but I don't know if it's going to sell a lot more than it's already sold. Because it's really for power users, and I don't know how many power users really want to spend over $1,000 on a web browser today. I think Chrome OS will continue to evolve. I have nothing against Google. I have nothing against Chrome OS. I use Google Chrome. I flip back to it in recent builds. And so I'm hoping that Google will continue to evolve the Chrome OS and the Chrome experience in general. So I don't have one. I have no plans on getting a Chromebook Pixel. Unless, of course, someone hands it to me. And then I'm like, oh, yeah, I'll use it. Sure, why not? Because the other Chromebook that I have, what I pay? Like $249 for it. I hardly ever use it. It's just so slow. It's a great guest computer, really. If someone needed to use a computer they didn't have one, I'd give them the Chromebook. because it's a knockaround machine, and I said that in my Chromebook review. The Mac Lee asks, do you have any predictions for new or updated Apple gear in the near future? Yes, then what? Well, we can expect to see likely a new iPad, not iPad mini, a new iPhone, potentially iPod Touch, although I don't think we're going to see a revision of the iPod Touch this year now that they've released the lower end one that doesn't have a camera, at least on the what is it, rear side? This is the front because the screen's here, so that I think it's got the front camera, it just doesn't have the camera back here. Is that a big deal? I don't know. For some people it is, for some people it isn't. But really, beyond that, it's difficult to predict what Apple's going to do. I would like, hun, quick. She's kissing the dog.
Because I heard him.
You heard it? Well, what'd you hurt him for?
He has a cyst on his head.
Suddenly, TLDR has turned into a Pirillo vlog, and I don't think people mind too much. It's something that some people will make conjecture, and they will say, well, Apple's going to release a new Apple TV. Apple's going to do this. Apple's going to do that. I'm very hesitant to make any of those types of predictions because I don't know. I know what I would like to see. I would like to see an updated Apple TV. I can expect to see updated mobile hardware in the iOS series, though, and I think we all can as well. M. LeBlanc asks, what do you think of 3D printing technology, and have you ever been to Canada? Okay, those are two disparate questions, but yes, I am quite excited about 3D printing technologies. In fact, even though I know he's not going to watch this, congratulations to Bree Pettis from MakerBot for being acquired and probably making a lot of money in that acquisition. I don't yet have a 3D printer. I would like one, but I don't know what I would do with it. There's a few apps out there where you can design. Let's see if I can find it. What was it called? There's like an iPad app that you can use, and I have way too many iPad apps, and I don't know if I can even find it right now. And you can design your own 3D creature and then print it out. Oh, there we go. It's called 123D Creature. And I talked about this in a TLDR a while ago. So you can create this creature and then send it to a 3D printer, which is kind of neat. So this creature right here, I could send to a 3D printer immediately and have that thing, whatever this thing is, whatever I've designed, printed out, which is pretty amazing, if you ask me. And, I don't know if I would see any value beyond that because I don't do a lot of prototyping, but I do believe that we're going to see 3D printing kind of hit mainstream within the next 5 to 10 years. Because right now it's just for hobbyists or certainly people who are in industrial design and need to do rapid prototyping at a low cost. I do have that, what is it called? 3Doodler. It's like a 3D printing pen where it takes that plastic and you could actually draw objects three-dimensionally, and then the plastic hardens, and then look, I made an Eiffel Tower out of, I printed it with my little magic crayon that spits out plastic, and it's kind of neat. But I don't have an actual 3D printer. They're still a little costly, and I'm waiting for them to be a bit more consumer-friendly than they are right now. Still in that industrial space. I have been to Canada as well. Do love Vancouver. Diana and I plan on going there at some point in the future, if only so I can show her the amazing sushi that they have in Vancouver. Or Vancouver, as I like to call it, America Junior.
Yay.
Diana's excited about that. If I say sushi, she gets happy.
Or Canadians.
Yes, or Canadians. We're happy with either one. X Mangled Shoes X. Do you think there's a noticeable shift in Apple since Steve Jobs in looking at iOS 7 new update, a difference in style? I've kind of discussed this before. I don't want to go as far as to say Apple's changed because Steve has left. Yes, certainly it's changed because, the man left his mark on Apple. But I think he put the right people in charge. I think Tim Cook made the right decision by dropping Forstall. In what I perceive iOS 7 to be right now, they will continue to make improvements before it ships. And I think they've heard the feedback loud and clear. They realize that the design is not done, and hopefully that will be reflected in the future iOS release, because it hasn't happened at the time of this particular recording. A noticeable shift? No. Is it? Has it shifted? Some people would say yes. I don't know. I mean, did my iPhone stop being useful because Steve Jobs is no longer around? No. Did Apple lose sight of, its ethos because Steve Jobs is no longer around? No, not at this point in time. I really don't believe so. I don't pay attention to stocks of any company, so I don't really look at it from market value. I just look at it from a value from a consumer's perspective. And what they've been doing more and more, and certainly the announcements recently, lends credence to this particular position. I think they're well on track to doing well in tying together their ecosystem and really presenting devices less like islands in the stream and more like in an archipelago of experiences, a single experience together. So I think Apple is certainly going the right direction, and Microsoft is playing catch up, as is Google, kind of, but Google's in kind of a different space. See, comparing Apple to Google it doesn't do either company any kind of service. In comparing Apple to Microsoft, again, you've got two different companies with two completely different business models that are operating in the same space. So I'm very hesitant to make those types of comparisons. Very, very hesitant. Chris, are you going to read my comment? No. Stanley Garrier, dude, I laughed so hard at your reaction to the hotel change. Haha. Which part? I assume you're talking about the vlogs that I did in London. Tomorrow we will be uploading the final London vlog for this particular trip. I did have a good time in London. It was a lot of fun. I met a lot of new people. Still cannot believe 80 people showed up for that meetup. It was absolutely fantastic. I've never had anything like that in the States. I just came off of a high from Vlogger Fair, so I'm still kind of floating in that space. So it's nice to know that I have community support. Chris, this is from Uncook Bacon. How can I use QuickTime and record with audio? And do you like my YouTube name? Yes, you have bacon in your name. I like you. That's how you get my friendship, right? Just put bacon in your name. Then I'm your friend. The QuickTime has the ability to record audio natively. You just look in the menu and you can... I don't have the menu pulled up right now, but I know you can press record. You can do a audio recording, a video recording by way of your camera or your webcam if you have it connected or it's built in. And then you can also do a screencast, directly within QuickTime. So let's see here. I'm just looking elsewhere. The Omar Vision asks, what do you think of the new Airport Extreme? I want one. I do want an Airport Extreme because, instead of this flat base, about that high, and I don't know if you can see it back there, but I've got an Airport Extreme. They've changed the design so that it's now more like a mini tower, which is good because it gives the antenna the ability to broadcast in a better range. Plus, it supports AC, 802.11 AC. That standard is yet to really be ratified, but Apple will certainly be supporting it moving forward as they have with the other standards from the 802.11. What is it? I'm thinking for some reason Confederation is jumping to mind, but that's not it. It's basically like your certification for being compatible with devices that are marked for that particular standard for wireless networking. I want one. I will be upgrading my Airport Extremes at some point in the future. Not immediately because I don't really have any AC devices at this stage. That it will likely change, but then I'm going to have to sell my old Airport Extremes, and then it becomes kind of a pain. Maybe if I find a buyer for my Airport Extremes, then I'll upgrade. Then that's the time to upgrade. And I don't think Diana will turn down potentially better wireless networking in the house, will you?
No way.
There we go. Okay, so I need to do this sooner rather than later. If you know of anybody who wants a previous gen or a couple of previous gen Airport Extremes, let me know and we can work out some prices. Before I continue answering questions from you, my wonderful community, let me please remind you that the Locker Room Daily Report is being brought to you by GoToMeeting with HD Faces. You can escape the office this summer, much like I did. And even though it doesn't happen all that often, you can still stay connected to your team. You can use GoToMeeting by Citrix, the powerfully simple way to meet online. You can share the same screen to collaborate in real time. Sounds like I said scream. I said screen, trust me, because there's a difference between a screen and a scream. You may want to scream at your screen sometimes, but not when you're using GoToMeeting. All you need to do is turn on your webcam to see each other in HD video. Launch or join a meeting using your computer, smartphone, or tablet. In fact, that's what I used when I was there in London to connect with the Vlogger Fair team as kind of a post-mortem, talking about what we need to do next and our plans and how things went and talking about feedback. So GoToMeeting helped keep us connected even though we were on opposite sides of the globe. Hun, you're yawning right now. Are you that bored?
No, because I'm sleepy.
She's sleepy.
We slept really, really late last night.
No, we went to bed late last night. We slept in today. Boy, she is tired. You can try GoToMeeting free for 30 days. Visit GoToMeeting.com, click the Try It Free button, and use the promo code Pirillo. And please do Jared Reed asks, if you buy a Mac Pro, it will replace your Mac Mini. Or will it replace your Mac Mini? Will not. I'm still having problems with the live stream at live.pirillo.com. I think it's an issue with Wirecast, unfortunately. I have not had much time to troubleshoot it, being busy with the events over the past couple of weeks. If I buy a Mac Pro, it will replace my old Mac Pro, at which point I have to, well, I got to get rid of it. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I won't have to get rid of it, I guess, but it would definitely move. It's a great machine. In fact, the beautiful thing about the Mac Pro is not just the design, but the fact that it's lasted 5-6 years. I mean, it really is an outstanding machine. It was able to stay toe-to-toe or keep toe-to-toe in terms of benchmarks in internals with the new MacBook Pro that I just purchased recently, with the Retina display MacBook Pro. So, Mac Pros, as expensive as they are, they stand the test of time. So I believe that Apple, has created one killer machine for any computing enthusiast. I would like to upgrade to the new Mac Pro, of course, but it's obviously not been released yet, and I've not yet found a sponsor, because those things ain't cheap. That's for sure. Let me see Diana. Show her face. That's what Michael Simons asks. Can you show your face, hon? You look beautiful.
Oh, you're so sweet.
See, she's really there.
They see
Just
me?
a quick,
Can I show them my leggings?
yes, you can show them your, do you guys want to see her? There's Diana's legging. I don't think we could really see. You should show them your shirt. Sew them your shirt.
Okay.
Don't sew shirts. We're going to show Diana's shirt. Just show. This was a gift from one of the UK community when we met up over there in London. Thank you so much for that.
I was trying to push you down. You
It's
didn't
special.
even notice.
No, I did not notice, honey. I'm sorry. Let's see here. Jonathan Fails at Life. That's his username. Thoughts on how Microsoft's PR has handled the consumer reaction, and were their recent changes damning to what the console's original concept was? Jonathan, that's very interesting, and I realize that some people are not upset at Microsoft's mulligan, or calling a mulligan and saying, yeah, okay, fine, you can use discs in other machines, and yeah, fine, you can use the Xbox in an offline mode. You don't need to connect to the internet every 24 hours. I think it was smart for Microsoft to do before the console shipped. I mean, they were really looking at a massive loss. Gosh, I'm just tripping over my words here. Looking at a massive loss in community engagement and support with the Xbox One as opposed to the Xbox 360. And this is coming at a time when Microsoft just can't afford to lose their community for support in purchasing the Xbox One. So I believe that they made the right decision in kind of saying, okay, we're going to backtrack and say the things that we were going to do, we're not going to do anymore because we listened to the community. It was a smart thing to do. And some people say, well, they should have stuck to their guns and driven forward with that, and I think that would have been a mistake. I think they made the right decision. Imagine, and I'm going to try to draw, a corollary here. I'm not going to say that the inclusion of a start button in Windows 8.1 would make or break it, nor would I say that including a start button inside of Windows 8 when it shipped was going to make it or break it. I think Windows 8 fails on its own, and it's not because it's a horrible, experience in general for what it is. It's just that they made the wrong kind of compromises, and they compromised in usability. And I think because of that, OEMs have suffered. And it's really kind of disappointing because OEMs can be very creative in their hardware experiences around Windows. And consumers were ready for a change, but I don't know if what Windows 8 had was what consumers wanted or were expecting for what they believed Windows should be. And I think the same thing could hold true for the Xbox One. Microsoft is strategically positioning the Xbox One as an entertainment console more than just a gaming console. So, the fact that they listened to the feedback and said, okay, we're going to do this now, we're going to do this now, it helps make the argument for an Xbox user, I'm an Xbox owner, I wouldn't call myself an Xbox user, to go to an Xbox One over an Xbox 360 if they're a gamer. But then you're still fighting other issues in the marketplace, specifically, no game backwards compatibility, and it's also $100 more expensive than the PS4. At which point, as a gamer, you'd have to wonder, well, are there going to be any games on the PS4 that I could only play on the PS4 or would be cross-platform? Do I want to spend $100 more and get the Xbox One when it's not backwards compatible with other older games? See, that's less of an issue if you didn't live inside of a PlayStation for gaming for years. Backwards compatibility may not mean much other than having a wider array of games available to you to play. So it was very interesting to see Microsoft do this. I was very grateful that they did because it shows they are listening and they realize they need to make decisions that are going to make their community happy. And that's pretty much all I want to say about that because I do believe I've covered that recently in a TLDR. Let's see here. I'm just scrolling through, looking at other questions here. I'm going to go ahead and pop over to something else that may be valuable. If you are a Mac user, we've scored you an 80% discount on OmniPage Ultimate. If you need OCR software, you may be OCD with your paperwork like I am, we'll score you 80% discount right here, deals.lockergnome.com. So instead of spending $500, software costs $500. You'd only spend $99. And if you need OCR software, OmniPage Ultimate is pretty much the pinnacle of OCR software. That would be like taking the copy that I have here in this printed page, scanning it and turning it into an editable document. And trust me, when it comes to OCR, you want solid software. Otherwise, you're just spending your time editing typos out of converted documents. Sometimes you got to spend money to save time. How much is your time worth? I always go back to that, right? If your time's worth, let's say, $100 an hour, but you spend 3 hours editing something because you used free software, you've spent $300 on free software. Just think about that for a moment. Your time should absolutely be worth something, and if it's not, you're doing the wrong thing. Your time is very valuable. And so, again, I appreciate when you guys pay attention to the stuff that we do here. Thank you. Go ahead, throw your finger in there, or thumb. It's part of it. More, further, come on. There we go. That's what you got to do. Like 123 of you did to this point in time for this video. Do I need a GPS tracker on my fitness tracking device? I don't even have a fitness tracking device, to tell you the truth. I'm afraid it's going to tell me that I need to work out more, which I could have told you that. Why would I need a GPS tracker to explain that? I haven't picked one up. So I'm curious to know, I'm going to throw this back to the community. We asked this question, posed the question, because many people were asking, not having a GPS tracker on any kind of personal fitness device, it's just like an expensive pedometer at that point. So I like the idea of a GPS tracker inside, certainly if it wasn't draining battery. And the idea that I could track more of the things that I was doing anyway is interesting. But what should I get? I mean, there's the Nike Fuel Band as well. I'm sorry, I'm holding on to a spoolie. Do my eyebrows, are they good?
Yeah.
Okay. Diana was like combing my eyebrows. Did I just screw them up before the live broadcast started? Do I get a Fuel Band, a Fitbit? There are other ones out there. I just don't know what one more people like. I think I like the Fitbit because they have that Wi-Fi scale, and we haven't upgraded that yet. But again, I don't want to... Why do I want to be told that I'm unhealthy, right, by a gadget, right? Get off your ass. Oh, great. Thank you for that support there. Why would I... Be a great motivator, though, wouldn't I? I guess. Maybe I should. I don't know. What do you guys use? Do you guys even use that at all? I know a lot. They're very popular. I see them all the time. People say, oh, I ran 40 miles. I sat 40 minutes. What is it going to tell you? It's going to auto-tweet for me and tell you how lazy I am in real life. That's just assume I didn't move anywhere. Oh, look at this. A 10-foot iPhone 5 or iPad mini Lightning USB cable for $13. It's a 50% discount. If you're looking for a longer USB cable, a Lightning USB cable, 10 feet should do the trick. It's normally $30. We can get it to you for about $13.99 on deals.lockergnome.com, which I don't know what's feet into meters. More, I think there'd be more meters. I'm really bad at these conversions. I'm trying to think more internationally because I have all these supporters out there who don't use the system that we use, the English system. They use the metric system, which I admit America needs to move to sooner rather than later. Let's go ahead and take some more questions from the community. Sean Shakir asks, what is your favorite Lego set and what is your most wanted Lego set? I don't know if I have either. Honestly, they're all fun to assemble and play with. I love minifigs. I don't know if I have a favorite minifig out of all of them. Well, actually, no. I tell you, this is a prized possession. Picked him up for, and now it's worth 1,000. This guy, Mr. Gold. This would have to be. It's not a set, but he'd have to be my favorite because he's been this little guy worth more than the Lego Death Star, which we gave away the Friday of Vlogger Fair as a part of the Geek Stakes giveaways with Modus. I don't know if you guys participated with that. Let's see here. Chocolate wheelchair. You guys have very creative usernames here. Are you opposed to an implantable microchip under your skin for use in personal e-security? Well, Wicket and Pixie are chipped, and that's happened because they could run away, and I would want to get them back. If something had happened, to know that they were chipped, at least is that security that they are chipped. Not to say that they would necessarily be returned to us, but just that feeling of security. As far as I'm concerned, I don't know if I'd be a fan of having a microchip. Why? Now, let's say I suffered from dementia. Let's say memory loss, and I had health problems. I would want to be chipped. Because if I couldn't remember my name, where I came from, any kind of medications, anything like that, a chip could help. I mean, imagine being able to scan and know exactly, number one, where I was at. And, I mean, it gets to be a little creepy, but I imagine, I get older. And, I mean, I know it's a stretch. But if something were to happen to me, I would want my family to know where I was, what was going on, and a chip may be the best way of doing that. Something that I could not lose, something that could not be easily removed. I probably wouldn't scratch it out of my skin, but still give my loved ones that feeling of safety and security. And so long as it wasn't something that was broadcasting my location out to the world in general, not posting updates. Chris sat for 40 minutes and tweeting that out. I think it could definitely go a long way, especially when it comes to the health and safety of each other. And some people get a little creeped out when we talk about these, cybernetics or the idea of becoming cyborgs and technology, being integrated into our own human circuitry. But I believe it's inevitable. I think we're going to see a lot more implants in the future, and not just for fun or for kicks. I know some people who have NFC tags implanted in their skin, so they just swipe in front of the door and then they can open it. I think that's an extreme possibility to happen. We're going to become, whether we're approaching a singularity or not, I would like to believe we are, because inevitably what we have up here is electricity. The brain, it's electric. And I think it's just a matter of time before we crack that nut. We swallow a pill and suddenly we understand everything that the world understands. And I think that would be an amazing leap forward for our intelligence and well-being. And if technology can help us get there, sign me up. Color me a fan. Angry teenage gamer. I'm sorry if this may make this person upset. Chris, I haven't even asked the question. His question. I'm assuming this could be an angry female teenage gamer too. Chris, would you ever see yourself switching back to Windows as your primary operating system? This is a question that is asked of me frequently, almost too frequently. The thing about switching is that it's usually something that doesn't happen all that often, and is usually only catalyzed because of some degree of pain. And so I would have to experience a lot of pain to make a leap, and I'm not anywhere near feeling pain with my current workflow. Just not anywhere near it at all. Nowhere near pain with my experiences at this point. So, even if Windows had, something more amazing to offer me, it would take an awful lot of momentum to get me to move away from what I'm using now. In fact, it took 3 things for me to really kind of get the idea that there's more to the world than just Microsoft Windows, including Windows Vista. That was too much pain. It really was for me. I kind of forgave him with Windows Millennium Edition, and then kind of forgot about it, and then Vista was released, and I'm like, oh my god, like, really? And I'm not trying to slag Vista again. I don't want to beat a dead horse. And let's face it, Vista was a dead horse. And I'm not the only one to say that. There's been empirical data to back up my assertions. It takes pain to get me to leap. I don't just look at something as, ooh, look at that flashy, shiny new object. I'm not interested. Really. I mean, it's nice to be able to play with an array of devices and try, different experiences and learning. God, I keep picking up this spoolie. Trying different things to see what I like, and just knowing that other experiences exist. But switching outright is not as easy as it used to be. I'll go back to what I said about Apple taking a better approach to the marketplace and offering various experiences instead of just this is the one device. No, it's this device as it interoperates with that device and that device and that device. And Apple's doing a fantastic job with that, and quite honestly, it's unparalleled. Nobody else has come close. Samsung has a possibility of doing that. Microsoft has a possibility of doing that. I'm not sure about Google, though. Again, they're kind of operating in a slightly different space and certainly taking a different approach to the marketplace. So, it would take a lot. An awful lot, and I don't see that happening anytime soon. I wouldn't rule it out. Never say never. I always believe that there's a possibility of it happening. Let's see here. Zed Shigo asks, would you buy the new MacBook Air 13-inch or would you stick to a MacBook Retina display for college? For college, I'd probably go with a MacBook Air 13-inch. Fast, ample, portable. Now they got all-day battery life. I mean, what else would you want? The Retina display would be nice, but maybe at some point in the future when video cards get a bit more powerful and CPUs get a bit more powerful. Until then, if it were me, if I had to choose between power or battery life and I was a college student, I would choose battery life any day of the week. Any day. I don't know if I would necessarily go as far as to recommend a MacBook Pro or a Retina display MacBook Pro for a college student over a MacBook Air, again, for portability reasons. You don't necessarily need, the maximum amount of power unless what you're doing is, photo processing, video editing, anything that would be CPU intensive, graphics intensive. You may want to play games. Sure, you can do that on a MacBook Air. Maybe they wouldn't be as powerful as a MacBook Pro, but I think as a college student, you want a universal machine that's not going to weigh you down, or as close to a universal machine that's not going to weigh you down. So I would say that a MacBook Air would do you just fine. That was the question asked of me, the MacBook Air for college students. So this has nothing to do with anything else. If you want to go with a Windows PC, knock yourself out. I tried the Lenovo Yoga 11S the other day, unboxed it on YouTube, and was pretty impressed with the lightweight factor that it brought to the table. So this isn't about Mac versus PC. The question was specifically related to the MacBook Air. Let's see here. Some questions you guys are asking, I don't know if I can really easily address. Like, what do you think is the best phone for 2013? I don't know. What's your favorite app of all time on a phone? I don't know. Let's see here. What is it, Ruben? This might be a good one. What is it, asked by Ruben Toter, that makes MacBooks so expensive? I discussed this briefly in TLDR yesterday. So many people are intent on suggesting that MacBooks are expensive, and I would argue that they're not as expensive as other devices are cheap. And of course, if you see a product that's worth $100 being stacked up against a product that's worth $1,000, it's not a very fair comparison, right? There's a reason that product, or likely a reason that product's worth $100. MacBooks are, solid aluminum. They've got great service plans and warranties available for them. Great support, stellar support, quality hardware. And sometimes you're going to pay for quality hardware. If you don't want to pay for quality hardware, fine. Don't. Choice is yours. Look at the Surface Pro. That's a quality piece of hardware. It ain't cheap. So, you gotta keep in mind that they're not as expensive as you think they are when you stack them up against a contemporary. You can't compare a $500 computer against a $1,000 computer effectively, other than it may help you accomplish tasks. So if what you're looking for is something that a $500 computer can do, then keep the $500 computer. Why are Macs priced the way they are? Well, because they are. Apple makes a profit on hardware, which, you know what? They're capitalists. You can't fault them for that. That's what they do. Does this mean that they're overpriced? Absolutely not. In fact, I've found cheaper items being overpriced because they suck. I'd rather spend $1,000 on something that was of good quality and that was going to last and that was decent than wasting money on a $500 product that sucked. To me, that $500 product would be overpriced. Cost is relative. Price is absolute. But you may be wasting money on a cheaper product. Cheaper. So keep that in mind. It's a good question to answer, but it's also rather upsetting because you're looking at the ecosystem incorrectly. You're assuming that something is expensive when in fact that's relative. Again, what's your time worth? Would you care to spend 2 weeks in hell with support on a $500 product or not having those headaches with a $1,000 product? How much is your time worth? Ask yourself that. And if it's not worth much, don't blame somebody else for that. Nicholas T. asks, do you think people appreciate quantity or quality in the current tech market and in general? I would say quality more than quantity. I think the freedom of choice is overplayed. It's nice to have choice and selection, but you know what? I would rather select between 3 really good products than 30 questionably okay products. You know what I'm saying? I mean, let's say you see an array of 30 things on a shelf. It's too many choices, man. You don't know what to go with. You don't know what's going to help. But if you knew that you only had 3 choices and each of those 3 choices was good for a different reason, it'd be easier for you to make a decision. It's the same reason why sometimes going into a restaurant and having a limited menu is very freeing. You just don't have to worry about, well, what if I get the wrong thing? Well, all these things, there's fewer things, so you know that each one of these things should be good. I mean, especially if you've read the reviews, to back up, what might be available at the restaurant. So sometimes too much choice can be very, very bad for consumers. I think choice is generally good, but, imagine if you had to choose between one piece of junk and another piece of junk, or 30 pieces of junk. Doesn't matter how many you have to choose from. If they're all pieces of junk, would you rather choose between 2 really good products or 2,000 questionably, I can barely say that, barely okay products? And I think more people would rather choose between 2 really good products. It's difficult to kind of scroll through some of the questions that are coming in. And you have to pardon if I don't see your question in the comments thread. It wasn't intentional, or maybe the question has already been answered a billion times. Let's see here. Trevor Knott asks, do you think BlackBerry dead? Yes, I do. Dead man walking. I mean, I feel for him. It's too bad they took the direction that they took. Bader Al-Hinti asks, use the HTC One and the GS4 in your opinion. What was better? Please answer me. I've already answered that question, so you can do your research. I hate telling people to Google it, but quite honestly, asking me the same questions again and again and again doesn't necessarily help. So I've done that for you. Just Google it on YouTube. But to give you a quick answer between the S4 and the One, I would choose the S4. And I've already explained why, so I don't want to belabor the point too much. Suffice it to say, I think despite the S4 having a plastic shell, I think it has a fantastically better camera, a smoother experience in general, although TouchWiz still needs to be optimized. A speaker may not be as great as the speakers on the HTC One, but I found Android to be far more responsive on the GS4, and that created a better experience for me. Plus, the camera on the HTC One sucks. I don't care what marketing says. It sucks. And I've done comparisons too. Again, don't want to belabor the point. I've covered this already. Inevitably, people get mad at me because of my experiences. It's like me getting mad at you for having spaghetti last night. That was a guess. I don't know if you had. If you did, that's really kind of weird. I'm scrolling through. I'm looking through. Got a few questions here, but many of them, again, have already been answered. Oh, okay. Well, so GTA fan 123456780. Will you switch to Android or Windows Phone as your main phone if iOS 7 icons don't change? No. Should the icons change? Absolutely, but I'm sorry, but icons would not be giving me that much pain to make a leap. What new technology, and this is asked by Cybertron X Studios, has emerged this year that you think could be the most impacting on consumers? New technology that's emerged this year. I think we're going to start seeing more heads-up displays integrated into things. Certainly Google Glass has gone a long way in pushing that agenda of a heads-up display. I came out and said that I don't know if I'm getting Google Glass. I'm leaning towards no because it would cost for travel, it costs for the device, and I may have missed my window of opportunity to get it. It's a bit disappointing that I may have to miss that mark. Very happy to have tried a Google Glass. But more than anything, and this article was published, I believe it was either Gawker or Gizmodo. I believe one site in their series of sites talking about how wearing Google Glass makes you an a-hole. And it really, I keep hearing that over and over again. So the last thing I want to be is perceived as someone that I'm not. And just by wearing that piece of technology could give people the idea that, I'm something they believe that I am when I'm not. Give me a chance to be myself, right? And unfortunately, people make these snap judgments. Oh, he's dressed like this, therefore he's this. He's this, therefore he's this. And Google Glass, unfortunately, has seemed to create this idea that anybody who wears glass is pretentious. And I don't know if I would go that far. Although, that being said, I've met a few glassholes. I have. And they bring a lot of shame and disgrace on Google just by their behavior. I mean, really poor behavior. I've met a few really nice Google Glass wearers and owners, but a couple of them, including a couple of people who work for Google, that they must have been a douche before they put the Google Glass on. So with Google Glass, you can assume that they'd become that much more douchey. I'm gonna use that word. I just did. Can't stop me. Raffi R. Raspberry Pi. What should I do with mine? Whatever you want. That's the idea. Honestly, it's you can make it what you want it to be, or just use it as a knockaround machine. You never know. Not many new questions coming in, but I should let you know that we've posted a link to where you can get an Android guide if you're looking for where you would want to start if you've never picked up an Android device, and I know some of you already have, but if you know someone who hasn't really started, living inside the world of Android, this free guide may come in handy. The link I'll put for you in this video's description. Oh, look at this. We also have a review posted of the LiveScribe 8GB Echo Smart Pen for your tablet computer. It's basically a pen that writes, but then it stores that information in the pen that can be transferred over. And I would have killed for something like this when I was taking a lot of notes as a student. To have those, automatically copied into a system where I could keep those forever. I mean, I have them in Pages in my treasure chest downstairs, the old Reese's box in the garage. The LiveScribe pen is probably, as far as I'm concerned, one of the better digital pens that you could pick up today. We've posted that link, by the way. It's on lockergnome.com. Boy, this keep. Is this weird for you?
I don't know.
My t-shirt just keep. I just feel it slipping down like this, and I'm trying to pop it back. It's like a nervous habit. Let's see here. Scrolling through. Some of these questions I cannot possibly answer. Okay, here's something that I addressed at the meetup, which you may have watched or you may not have. I don't think it... Well, or did this make it into the YouTube channel? I don't know if this one... Someone else may have recorded it, though, if you caught the London meetups when I was doing a presentation in front of a group of people. Although I was surprised. When I uploaded those video segments to this channel, they didn't track as well as I thought they would. I mean, I did this open Q&A with people, but do you guys even want me to do these live Q&As? I'm happy to do it, if you want to participate, but I hope you would, appreciate the fact that we're doing this. Dan Fernando asks, what do you think about NSA Prism? I'm going to try to recap what I had talked about, giving this presentation in the UK. I think it's morally questionable Certainly having my civil liberties violated is something that I don't appreciate, and nor should anybody. And even when it's being done for my safety and security, the big issue, the largest issue I have with PRISM isn't necessarily that it exists. It's that I wasn't given a choice. There's been no transparency. And I think that, above all else, that's been the biggest problem. No transparency. If I had a chance to opt out, and I know people, who would normally do bad things would probably opt out. Without due process, unfortunately, all of our rights are just stripped of us. Like, we are guilty before being proven innocent. And that's exactly what's happening, right? Tapping calls without any kind of warrant, recording behaviors or getting access to information or data that I didn't give permission for, and certainly wasn't aware that they were being collected. Not that I've done anything wrong, because I haven't. It comes down to transparency. In that the irony about that is, allegedly they're doing this to help make us more secure, and maybe they have. But the problem is they've actually made us feel more insecure by doing what they've done and doing it the way they have. So I think they need to be more transparent about it and offer certain opt-out processes and go back to what the Constitution has provided us as at least U.S. or American citizens, even though I do believe that the ramifications of this are international. We're entering a global society if we're not there already. And civil liberties are something that, as an American, I absolutely treasure. And to have those violated by the very same entities that are there to protect us, it's beyond ironic for me. I think we need to, if anything, get back to basics. Stop violating my civil liberties, man. Go back to due process. Why did we suspend this? Because we're at war? We're going to be at war forever. Terrorism is not going to disappear. I think that it's shameful. It's embarrassing. And, there's a reason why, we're a very young country here, the USA. But there's a reason why our system of government is being modeled elsewhere. Am I saying we have the best system of government? No, I'm not saying that. But I am saying that what we have in the idea of freedom should be treasured above all else. And I feel that those freedoms are being stripped away or put into question without due process. Now, if you've got reason to believe that I'm doing things that I shouldn't be doing, then it's a different. You go to a judge, you get a warrant, it's on record. Unfortunately, our elected officials are circumventing the system. I think it's morally repugnant that they would do this. I really do. I think it's wrong, and anybody who would say otherwise obviously does not value civil liberties and should not be trusted. That's my perspective on the matter. Thank you for asking. Do more live TLDRs. I tell you what. We get to 1,000 likes for this video within a week, I'll do more live TLDRs.
Yay.
But would they share? Do you think they'll share this though?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's an awful lot to ask. I realize we've kind of gone on for longer than I would want to have gone on with it. But I'm going to go ahead and ask maybe answer one or two more questions before rounding out. I was expecting to only go for about a half hour or so. Nathan Richards, what is some advice for improving my wireless internet speeds? Even bought a new router, top of the line router, and it still struggles to load a YouTube video. Any advice? Go with automatic channel switching, for one. Optimize the position of the base station relative to your devices or primary systems. And the reason, I talk about these things because there's a lot of interference in the air. You never know, what may be, in between your system and the wireless access point. So having automatic channel switching could help. Positioning it the right way could absolutely help as well. Potentially dual band. router if you have that, or if your device has the ability to stream or pull in a signal at a 5 gigahertz level, you'll need to be closer to the base station, but that may improve throughput. I don't know if that's necessarily going to help you with YouTube. That may very well be a problem with your ISP. Now, if you're not having that issue when you're connected to a wired connection as opposed to a wireless connection, then it may be something with a wireless signal, and it could be not just the router, but it could be the device itself. Maybe it just has a really bad antenna. You may need to upgrade the device, change the device. If you have the ability, upgrade the network card in the device if you've already gone through and updated the router. There's a lot of things you have to keep in mind when it comes to wireless networking, and it's not always easy to navigate in terms of troubleshooting any kind of issues. And believe you me, it took until last year for me to get the wireless network here at the house completely optimized. Cybertron, I'm going to go ahead and round this out. We have another good question. Oh, God. Okay, two more. Two more good questions, I think. Cybertron X Studios, do you feel Nintendo still has any traction in the console market, or do you think that they would shift to focus on software rather than hardware? I'm not going to say that Nintendo's screwed, because they have great games, great licensing in place, but I do think that the day and age of the Nintendo console is coming to an end, not just the portable console, but specifically the television console. It's becoming an edge player, a niche player, and I think Sony and Microsoft today are ruling the roost for that. And I think in the future, the battle is going to be between the two of them. Nintendo, I think, would be better off licensing its software to run on alternative platforms. If not, an Xbox or a PS4, then certainly on Android or an iOS device. I think they could make a lot of money in software, not just hardware. They just need to rethink their strategy, and I don't know if they will. Bilal Majid asks, what does Microsoft have to do to get you to use Windows 8? Nothing, because I already use Windows 8. So I'm going to go ahead and end it here. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for, asking questions and participating, commenting, liking, sharing this video, because it's, the reason why I like doing the things that I do. Hopefully everybody got the push notification on the free Locker Gnome app, which has now been updated for Android and iOS, certainly. Let's see here, did I get the push notification on... I don't know if I got the push notification on the Locker Gnome app here on my Samsung Galaxy S4. Oh, it's because it was disconnected from the network, so no, I wouldn't have received the push notification. Oh, yep, there we go. I did! Yay, Android! Look at that. It says we're live on YouTube right now. You tap it, and you say okay, and then it launches into the live YouTube stream, which I can open in Chrome or YouTube or any one of those. So, yeah, it worked. What do you know? Thank you. God, the shirt's driving me nuts, not just because it has a YouTube logo on it. Everybody, I hope you have a good weekend, and we'll see you later.